Good morning, guys.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good, good, good. Happy to hear that. All right, we'll get started. Give me 1 second, guys, and just one moment. All right, guys, we can get started. It doesn't look like we have anyone else in the waiting room. You guys hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, good. Well,
Yes.
today's
Yes.
Good. Today's meeting, we're going to cover what we spoke about last week, and that is the dialogue that goes along with doing the prospecting. I know that a few of you have been trying to get out of your comfort zone and making some of those calls, and obviously the ones you can make that are not restricted. But it also comes down to having conversations with people in real life, having conversations with people anywhere, even in church, at parties, and how do we break the ice? And not only with clients, but how can we break the ice? Recently, Vanya reached out to me and said, how can I break the ice with real estate agents? Because I feel that we're probably even more scared to talk to real estate agents than we are to home buyers and sellers. I don't know why. It's kind of like talking to your schoolmates. You wouldn't be scared to talk to your schoolmates, right? It's the same thing. We're all in the same boat together. We all feel the same pain or same frustrations. We all have the same issues, with the real estate market. And if we can't relate to our own schoolmates or colleagues, then it's just because of a lack of confidence. And we can only build that confidence when it comes down to knowing what to say. And I'm glad that today we have John on the call with us, because John is a master of confidence. And along with his confidence, he can basically say whatever he wants, because the way he says it, it portrays confidence. No matter if he tells you something that's completely against your normal train of thought, he could be absolutely wrong. But with his conviction, it always sounds right. It always sounds like, he knows what he's talking about. He could probably be a very good debater. John, did you ever consider joining a debate club when you were in school or anything like that, or a politician?
Well, yeah. I actually did forensics in high school, and they had just in Elizabeth, they didn't start the debate team until I left. Bastards. But yeah, there's a structure to it that I've had to learn. But yeah, it's a conversation, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a conversation, and he'll tell you anything. We've sat in on role play sessions before, and he'll tell you the goofiest thing, the craziest thing, but it'll just throw you off, and then it'll be like, okay. And then from then on, you can basically say whatever you want, because it all makes sense after he's basically broken the ice. So today we're going to play a couple of different tactics. We're going to go a couple of different scenarios with. Obviously, I do want to cover the whole agent thing of it, because I feel like a lot of us here want to attract more agents, but we're just kind of scared of what to say and how to break the ice. But a few of you are doing really good. Like Ivani, I think she says she got a handful of coffee dates set up. Belinda's been rocking it. I know that John's not scared to talk to anyone. So, with today's dialogue session, I'm sure we'll all come out a little bit more confident than we were when we came in. I hope we get a couple more people on the call today, because this is obviously a very important topic for everyone. But let's go ahead and get started with some of the basics. Some of the basics today are going to cover, obviously, how do we talk to a prospective seller? How do we talk to someone that wants to sell their home? Well, doesn't want to sell their home. They don't know they want to sell their home with you. They may want to sell their home, but they don't necessarily know you or even trust you. So how do we break the ice how do we come off different? How do we come off as not being obviously another real estate agent that serves obviously no purpose and has no value? You know, there is with the method that Belinda takes with prospecting expireds and for sale by owners, those people are getting so many phone calls. They're getting so many letters in the mail. They're getting so many different things. Obviously, she's thinking outside the box by throwing people off with sending them birthday cards and sending them when it's not their birthday, sending them congratulations on their grandchild, like all these crazy things, which is getting their attention. But what if you're able to talk to some of these people who are obviously not on a do not call registry? What if you talk to some of these people? How do we break the ice and how do we make ourselves stand out from the crowd? You know, what can we say? What can we possibly say? And I'm not going to give you the answers to all these things. I want you guys to do some critical thinking, because as a group, we come up with much better solutions than if I just, tell you what I would do. But how can we stand out from the crowd? Because what does a normal real estate agent usually call and say? Hi, my name is Lewis. I just wanted to call and let you know that I'm a local real estate agent and I might possibly have a buyer for your home. Is it possible for me to come by and check it out? That's normal, what people say. And even though it may sound okay and it may sound fine, is there a way for us to possibly like build instant rapport? Is there a way for us to possibly break the ice and be a little different than everyone else? Can you guys give me any suggestions on how we could do that with a more personalized approach? It doesn't have to be a perfect answer, guys. Anything, and you throw anything at me, I'll give you some suggestions as well.
I will start talking about vacation.
Vacation? So go
Mhm.
ahead. What would you say to me if you were calling me and I'm a homeowner that either has an expired listing or for sale by owner? You would call me and say, "Hello, Mr. Leva," or you would call me and say what? What would you say?
I follow you with that first name tag there. I would say, "Hey, Lewis, my name's Belinda. I want to talk to you a little bit about your family and when and where do you plan to go on vacation?"
Why are you a travel agent?
No, I'm not a travel agent, but what happens if your next home can remind you of that place that you ultimately want to be 3 times out of the year?
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, okay. You completely like thrown me off here. What is this call about?
This call is about you and your next move in the future.
Oh, so you're a real estate agent.
That I am.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
just a real estate agent, I am a real estate professional.
Oh, nice. I like that. Okay, very good. Well, yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen, but the house was recently taken off the market because, we just took it off to make some repairs, and we had an offer, but it fell through because the buyer's funding didn't go through. So we decided to take it down for a little bit. But we will most likely be relisting with our previous agent. But if not, we're welcome to pay any of the agents who do bring us a buyer while it's off the market. We can pay you guys 2.5%.
Well, listen, I know that there's a network of traveling nurses. Have you ever thought about listing your home as an Airbnb and bringing some profit in on it?
Not really. We don't want that responsibility of having to manage the property. We kind of just want to pull out our cash and move on.
What if I was able to manage the property for you?
That would be good. But like I said, I still think that the money that we can pull out of the property is necessary for the next purchase we make. So
Do you understand that there are several people right now that need places to rent, and your home would be perfect for that, especially if you had enough equity that would afford you to go ahead and purchase another house and allow someone else to live in your house.
mhm. So what you're saying is turn our place into a rental property and then pull out equity with what, a refinance?
Yes, because it's very much needed. I have several people that are displaced because a lot of investors have already pulled out, and your home would perfectly fit that match for them.
Okay. Well, what is a traveling nurse? The term sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar with what that is.
There's a network of nurses that go from town to town to take care of live-ins, but they don't necessarily live with their patients. So we have that aspect of it. They need places to be for a month at a time. But just like I said, I have a handful of displaced families that need to go into a property immediately.
Okay. Well, yeah, you've got my attention. I'd love to learn more about that. Once you come by the house, maybe this Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Sound good?
This Tuesday, 3 o'clock sounds perfect. Would your spouse be there?
Yes, you will.
Okay, great, great. And I don't mind if the kids are there. If you have any kids, I don't mind the pets are there. If you have the pets, just I ask that if it's a large dog that you hold it into another room. Cats are okay with me, but I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at 3.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, good. What I liked about Belinda's example here is not so much that what she said, it's how she stood firm with what her conviction was and what she believed in, even though it may not be my ideal scenario. But how many agents you think are calling me and giving me that option? Probably none. Nobody. Everyone's trying to feed me the same script that they've always gotten from their brokers or from their companies. And she came with a whole new fresh approach. And she asked me about a vacation, which kind of threw me off. She didn't call up and saying, "Hi, my name is Belinda. I'm a local real estate agent. I was wondering if you are still considering selling your house." No, Belinda, you're the 10th agent to call me. Like she started with something totally different. So that is a good approach. I like your approach there. There's obviously other approaches you can take. You can get a little bit more personal with the person. So let's say you're farming your neighborhood. You're farming the town that you live in, grew up in, whatever the case may be, or the town you want to start doing business in. So what you could do is the following. You can just obviously look at what street they live on and see, do you know any people that live on that block? Maybe you know someone who lives on that block, and then you can say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm so-and-so, I'm Belinda, or I'm Louis. I was just giving you a call because I noticed that your property sits on the same block that my best friend Jim lives on, or my ex-client Jim lives on." And then right away, they're like, Jim who? Like, are you familiar with Jim? You kind of start the conversation about Jim instead of about the house. And, maybe that approach will take you a little bit different because maybe they know Jim, and maybe Jim is like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy that's always inviting everybody to the barbecues," or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you just call Jim first and you ask Jim, "Hey Jim, do you know this person who lives on this block?" or whatever the case may be. Or if you want to get all 21st century and technological, you can go on Facebook and see if you guys have any common mutual friends. You do live in the same neighborhood, in the same town, right? You might have common friends. So that's one approach that you may want to take. It will take you a little bit longer. That is 100% true if you do get more personalized with your messages. But I think your win rate would be much higher. And I think your confidence would also go up knowing that you guys have mutual friends or mutual parties that you guys are both, in line with. So good job, Belinda. Does anyone else have any suggestions that we can break the ice with that makes us a little bit different or make us sound a little bit different? Could be anything, guys. It could be anything that you think would break the ice in a way where it will get the person's attention and not turn them off. You don't want to sound obviously like every other real estate agent. Is there something you can say? Or you could just be yourself and be very, very humble. I mean, if that's your approach, it's not wrong either. There is no wrong approach, but I just want it to be your approach and I don't want it to sound like a script. Okay, so let me just give you my approach when I used to make my 1,000 phone calls a week. So my approach is very simple. I didn't use the whole because it wasn't that hard back then, and it's a lot harder now. Obviously, everything's a lot harder now. When I was making my calls, I was prospecting mostly expireds, some FISBOs, mostly people that are in list pendants or in lieu of foreclosure. One of those things. So what I would say is I would just simply call up and say hi, and I would always approach them with their shortened version of their first name. So the guy's name is James. I go, "Hey Jim." Yeah, because most likely their friends called him Jim and not James, right? So they immediately would put their guard down a bit. I've noticed when you do that, and they say, "Yeah, hi, who is this?" Hey, Jim," and then I say their name again. Why is it that I say their name again? Because the more times you repeat the person's name, the more confidence you gain with the person. It's psychological. People love hearing their own names. They do not dislike people who call them by their names because in their mind they say, "Well, my friends all call me Jim. And the more times you call me Jim, the more I'm feeling like you're my friend." Okay. So be very friendly, be very personal. Don't be so stiff and rigid. So I would say, hey Jim, yeah, I'm sorry to catch you if I caught you at a bad time, but my name is Louis. Just wanted to call and ask you, get right to the point. I used to get right to the point. Just wanted to ask you, would you ever consider selling your home for the right price? People don't just want to sell their home. They want to get the most amount for their home. So that was one of my approaches. Would you ever consider selling your home for the right price? everyone says, well, what's the right price? I used to get that so much because that was kind of like a bait. That was like a bait that I was putting out there for them, and they would catch the bait all the time. So my bait would be, would you ever consider selling your home for the right price? Well, what happens to be the right price? Well, I'm so glad you asked. To be honest with you, I sell a lot of homes in the area, and I recently just sold one that looks exactly like yours on such and such street. But the only difference is the condition. Obviously, I can't tell the condition of your home by the inside, from the outside. I apologize. But I could tell you this much. I'll be in your neighborhood this weekend. And if you want, I could stop by for 5 minutes and let you know what I think it could sell for. Well, I've got pictures on Zillow. You can check out those pictures there. Yeah, Jim, I've been in real estate now for about 5 to 10 years, however long you guys have been in real estate for. And I would tell you this much. I can hire a photographer to make a complete, rental home look like it's, a palace. And, pictures are deceiving. Let me just tell you this much. I would love to come in and just take a look at the home and let you know from a non-biased perspective whether I feel that your home is worth, X amount, or if it could be worth X amount. So have some numbers in range, guys, because real numbers excite people. Let's just say the top of the market there is 500. You can tell the guy, listen, and he probably thinks this home is worth 500. You say, look, I got to take a look at the home to know if it's worth slightly over 500, because he probably thinks it's worth 500. So you're telling him he can get more than 500, or whether it's worth 450. That's a big difference, Jim. $50,000. I just can't, throw those numbers out there when I'm really getting my eyes on it. So how's about I come by this weekend, say Saturday noon? Does that work for you? You kind of want to be very, very kind of like assuming that it's already a done deal. Very assumptive when you talk, because the more, not that you're being pushy, but you're being confident. There's a very fine line between pushy and confident. If somebody tells you no and you come after them like, but come on, Jim, what's wrong with you, buddy? You gotta let me sell your house. That's being pushy. But if the person is on the fence and you're giving them dialogue that's helping them get off that fence, you're doing them a favor. You're doing them a favor. You're doing yourself a favor, your family a favor. You're doing everyone that depends on you a favor. Even the people who work around you and they see you being more successful, you make them more successful, believe it or not. So just go in mind when you make these phone calls, guys, that you're not doing it to bother people. You're not prospecting to take away from people. You're prospecting and you're doing your job to add value to everyone's life. And if you can get in that mindset, making the phone calls is easy. One of the other suggestions I have for you is that don't make the phone calls alone. You're more likely to make the phone calls when you have a buddy, when you have a person that is accountable with you and even makes them alongside with you. That is one of the things that really, really helped us when it came to prospecting. I'll tell you that right now. When it was when it was a group thing, when it was a partner thing, it's so much easier and you can bounce off of rejections so much quicker. But when you're alone and you're making these calls, it gets boring really quick, guys. It gets boring really quick and it gets sad really quick, because sometimes you get someone who's very rude and that can really down your day. Someone could tell you the meanest things you've never wanted to hear before. If you've got a slight accent, someone might even take a jab at your accent. If you sound a certain way, they can be very, very offensive. So when you're by yourself, that is going to take a blow to your ego. But when you're with a friend, you can kind of say, can you believe this jerk? He just called me like a pansy. And then your friend starts laughing at you and then you start laughing too. It's like, it's okay. And I always tell the story how I used to set up my friend who used to prospect with me. I used to make him call back all the people who were nasty. And I used to tell him they were hot leads. He would call back and gets cursed out. So, it's just fun when you do it with someone else. If you guys just want to just partner up on Zoom, we didn't really have Zoom. We had to be in person all the time. But now, guys, if nobody in our group wants to make prospecting calls with you, you could literally just go on Facebook Workplace and tap into 20,000 real estate agents or more just in probably the United States, or just on the East Coast of the United States on the same time zone as you. We have 50,000 all over the world, but maybe find someone who, make a posting and say, hey guys, I'm looking for an accountability buddy to make prospecting calls with. You never know. You might make a friend in Arkansas, or a friend in Georgia, a friend in Tennessee, anywhere. And that could be your accountability person. You can make a new friend. So there is never an excuse, but I will tell you right now that the keys to being successful in prospecting and making your calls is, number one, is going to be dialogue practice. That's what we're doing today. We're doing dialogue practice, refining what you say, it's okay to write down a script and refine that script, because what it's going to do, it's going to help you pull out the right words. But then when you practice it, I don't want you to read off that script. I want you to recall from that script. I want you to kind of wing it impromptu style. But the funny thing is, when you do that, your mind is going to retain some of the things that you wrote down when you took the time to actually write it down. But when you're doing it willy-nilly, you got all these thoughts going through your head and you don't know which one to put out first. And you know what comes out? Because your mind is on overload and it doesn't know which word to use. It doesn't know what to say next. And you don't have the confidence at all to even break the ice, and that's the problem with the majority of agents, is that fear they have inside, all that jumble they have in their head, it just stops them from even picking up the phone. But if you can practice, and just look at athletes, they never go to a game without practicing for months and months and months before they even step on a court or step on a field. The same thing goes with making prospecting calls. What makes you think it's any different? This is definitely a sport if you look at it that way, but it's also your livelihood. Taking the time to practice, sharpen your sword, and going back into that battle field with the ammunition that you've gained from all the time you're spending with these calls, with these lessons, and with the practice is really going to make all the difference in the world. So there isn't one script, there isn't one way, there's many ways. John has a way that I can never master, and John doesn't have the humility that I would have, in a situation when you're meeting someone. So we're all different, but we're all fine with being different as long as we make it our own and we're confident with it. So with that being said, does anyone else want to add to what we're covering right now? Does anyone have a good approach that's worked for them? I know Ivani has been making calls. I know a lot of the people here have made calls. Does anyone want to add to what their approach would be when you're contacting a seller that works for them?
Well, with me, I don't necessarily try to build rapport over the phone. I don't even try. Now, once I meet with them, I'm full on, hey, we're buddies now. But over the phone, they don't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. Let's talk about business, and I get right to it. Similar to you. It's, hi, my name is John. Are you looking to sell? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And if it's anything but a no, that's, dictates where that conversation goes after that.
Yeah.
But it's just straight to the point. The rapport is for face to face. When you can see me in my, the way I move and the way I talk and all that other jibble jabble. But over the phone, especially that initial prospecting call, hey, you idiot, do you want to sell this piece of crap house? Yes or no?
Yeah. The quicker you get to know guys, the better. Don't take a no as a negative thing. The quicker you get to know is the quicker you get to that yes. So, don't try to convince a no into a yes. If a no is a no, a no is a no. That's it. Just move on. It's the maybes that you got to worry about. The maybes are the ones that you really have to put work into. And the yeses, obviously, we love the yeses. The yeses are sometimes far and few between, but the yeses will obviously make your day. So, with that being said, it's just a numbers game. It's just as many people as you call. There will eventually be someone who's going to give you a maybe, a strong maybe, and there's going to be people who are going to give you the yes. The maybes are the ones you have to practice for. The no's are like, okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day. Goodbye. That's it. But what I always tell the agents is that prospecting is the ultimate filter for the nicest people you'll ever meet in the world. The reason why is because how many people would let an absolute stranger who they've never met before, who they've had a 5-minute conversation with on the phone, come over to their house and check out their place? It is the ultimate filter for having great clients. Would you rather just take a client that's a complete, jerk just because, that's the only one you have available? Or would you rather go out there fishing for the nicest people in the world? Because I've noticed, I've even have good friends that came out of it. I've noticed that the ones who have given me the opportunity to work with them through prospecting have been great people for the most part. I mean, I can't say 100%, but for the most part, I've been great people. Has anyone else had that similar experience?
Yes, I have. And we're still good friends today. Actually, I am going to list their house as soon as I can find them another house to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you see that. Sometimes you even get people saying, you know what, it was meant to be. You were sent from God. Like it's so many nice things that you get from people. And it's crazy because especially like it'll come back. And I'm sure you guys don't know it's going to come back. But when people are in foreclosure and the government has stopped giving out moratoriums on foreclosures and whatever forced whatever they call those things, what is that when they forced forbearances, basically, when the government stopped standing behind that, people don't know where to turn. You know, like remember when everyone thought they were going to get a modification on their mortgage, and then we used to call them and be like, modification, okay, I'll check back with you in a couple of weeks on that, all right? Because we know they wasn't going anywhere. You know, we know modifications were literally a joke. People at Bank of America were literally caught throwing applications in the garbage, laughing at people who were like calling in for mods. You know, it was a big old hoax. You know, it was just like, yeah, smoke and mirrors. We're going to give you a mod. Your mod will be worse than the original mortgage you had. You know, like that's going to keep you afloat. There was a statistic floating around that over 90% of people who got mods reforeclosed within a year. How crazy was that? Right? So it'll come back. And when you find someone who and the reason I'm telling you that is because when you find someone who literally needs your help, who has no other person who can help them with what their situation is, it makes a big impact. I mean, not only on your business, on the referrals you get from that person, but on those people's lives moving forward. So with that being said, obviously everyone has a different niche to get into, but within every niche, there are people who need you and need you desperately. Maybe they came out of a for sale by owner situation and they're like, I don't know, I priced it where I thought it was supposed to be priced at. Meanwhile, my kid's got to start school in September and it's July and I still don't have a buyer for my house. Even though that person's not foreclosing, that person needs you. That person needs you to guide them. That person needs you to weed bad buyers out. You know, that's one of the things I recall that there was a lady who was brought to me by one of our agents, and she was willing to accept any old investor's offer that would break her even. Right? That's all she wanted. She wanted to break even by an investor. But meanwhile, there really wasn't, it was marginal. It was kind of marginal where an investor was kind of going to make some money on it, but not really. But they were still willing to like give her like rock bottom prices. And then when I looked at her house, I said, hey, listen, I know you want to sell to an investor, but I think if you put this, she wanted to sell like 265 or 270, something like that. I said to her, listen, I think you could get 3.25 for your house pretty easily. She's like, 3.25? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I've got this investor who sent me over an offer. He said he'll buy my house in 30 days. And I took a look at the contract and it was an assignment contract. The investor wasn't even going to buy it. They were going to try to find someone else to squeeze out another 5K, you know, give it to someone else. So I said to her, listen, this contract is complete bogus. I would never accept it in 100 years, in my opinion. It's not even written. He's not even giving you a deposit. I would run. And she says, are you sure? Are you sure? Because she was like so scared. She had already moved out of the house. She was already living in a different state. And I said, yeah, just take a chance. What are you going to lose? Let's list it for 3.25. So she ended up getting above ask price. And yeah, she was very happy at the end. You know, she obviously, you know, gave us a lot of recognition for it. Very nice lady. But initially she was very standoffish. You know, she was very, very, I think she just didn't trust anyone. But we won her over because, you know, we literally brought value to the table. We didn't try to screw her by saying, you know what, I've got a better investor for you. You know, we literally looked at her and said, look, she's our principal. We got to do what's best for her. And we did. And you do enough of that, guys, your business will flourish. You will get, even if that person doesn't refer you someone, God and the universe have a way of repaying you in multitudes after that when you do the right thing. So always keep that in mind for sure. So let's talk a little bit about, all right, a little bit more about the dialogue because we're getting a little bit off track here. So, all right, I have an approach which is you know what, I like to be friendly with people on the phone. I like to call them by their first name. I like to repeat their name a lot of times, and I also like to kind of invite myself over. That's kind of my spiel. That's with sellers, but some sellers will tell you, hey, I'm having an open house. Swing on by, come on by, right? I have an open house and come on, check it out. All right. So what do you do then? What do you do then when you show up to the house and you have other people in the house? There's maybe wanderers, you know, people who are looking to buy the house, and maybe you've even got other real estate agents who are popping in and out of that house, right? What do you do in that situation? Do you just kind of like, all right, well, I came, I saw, and I discouraged myself, right? Walked out the door again without anything. What would you do in that case? Anyone have any suggestions what they would do if you showed up to the open house? The person was very amicable with letting you over because they were letting the public in anyway. How do you start that conversation once you're there at the open house?
That's easy.
Go ahead.
So again, I don't build the rapport over the phone. So if the first engagement is in person, oh, that's it. We're best friends after that. So the first thing you do is you bring a gift.
Oh,
You always
nice.
bring something to leave with them. It's better, obviously, if it has your name and picture on it, but most of us don't have the budget for that.
Yeah.
But just a gift, like it doesn't even matter what it is. It's literally a principle of influence that if you give someone a gift, they feel like they owe you something, and they usually reciprocate.
Yeah.
So always bring something, even if it's nothing more than a CMA on the house. Bring something. Show up. You basically introduce yourself. You don't actually talk. I wouldn't even talk about the house. I would talk about their experience. So how's the open house going? How long have you been selling? You know, do you see anybody opening your fridge? You know, that annoys me too. All those weird questions. And then once you leave, you mail them a thank you card and follow up in a week when the house hasn't sold yet and ask them why.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else?
I did that this weekend, and I am with Genius on that one. I always come gift bearing. I have already gifts in my car: mug with tea, hot chocolate, bunch of candy, my business cards, notepad, and calendar is in my little gift bag. And yeah, I actually follow up the very next day and ask them, how did it go? In fact, I'm getting ready to call her right after we get off this call and see if she got any offers. And then I'm going to ask, how are you going to go about moving forward with the offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Question,
go ahead.
Lou.
Yes, go for it.
Well, I have like I'll be cold calling people and stuff like that and testing and all that. And how do you approach? It's because I like to repeat the name repeated times, but some ladies, it look like they get like pissed off because I call it by their first name. They say they don't know me, and stuff like that. So
Okay.
how do you? What do you suggest? Call her if most of the homeowners like all I guess like older ladies or older senior citizens. So do you suggest calling like Mr. Da 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 or Mrs. Da 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 instead of first name?
That is such a great question, because I forgot to even mention that to you guys, that I'm only very like buddy with guys. I'm only like that with guys. I'm not like that with women. With women, I'm much more respectful. So, that's a great topic that you brought up, Alejandro. So with women, you can take it a little bit step further and say, obviously, let's just say that the lady's name is Judith, right? Judith. The lady's name is Judith. That's a nice old lady name, right? Maybe some people call her Judy, right? So when you call up, you say, hi, I'm Judith, obviously, because that's her full name. And then once you, yes, who is this? Hi, Judith. My name is Louis. Just wanted to give you a call and ask you, would you ever consider selling your home for the right price? And she say, I've thought of it. My home was actually on the market a couple months ago. But we really didn't get the offer we wanted. Okay. All right, good. All right. Well, Judith, can I call you Judy? What do your friends call you? Ask them for permission, and then they say, well, my friends call me Judy. Oh, okay. Would you allow me to call you Judy? Or would you prefer Judith? Ask them. I think it's worth the 5 seconds that you show respect that you would call them that. Now, calling them Mrs. Smith might make them feel a little bit weird, because how many people actually call them Mrs. Smith? The only people who call them Mrs. Smith are telemarketers. People who are selling them something on the phone. I would stay away from the last name. I would definitely go with the full first name, and then ask them, take a moment and ask them before we go any further. Would you prefer can I call you Judy, or do you prefer Judith? What do your friends call you? Like ask her that, because you want to kind of like say, look, I'm your friend, like you're not saying I'm your friend, but you're asking them, what do your friends call you? And then they say, my friends call me Judy. Would you allow me to call you Judy? Yes. She's already agreed to make you her friend. Take it. I think people don't have a problem with you calling them by their name, as long as you ask them for permission to call them that. I don't ask for permission when it comes to guys, because guys are guys, bro, like call you bro. But when it comes to ladies, be very respectful, especially if you're a guy, and especially if you're a younger man and you're talking to an older woman. Always ask for permission for everything. And when it comes to ladies, talking to ladies, I think you guys you have to judge that on your own. I couldn't answer that question for you because I'm not a lady. So how would you guys approach an older woman? how would you guys talk to an older woman? Would you guys go with the first name, the last name? Would you take my advice? What would you do?
You know what, Louis, is very interesting because even women with women on the phone are not, men tend to be more friendly when you start like breaking the ice for some reason. I don't know. But the women, you do have to actually, in my opinion, like for when I have called people, I do actually ask them. I learned that from you, like that, oh, can I call you by what your friends call you? But I have noticed that guys, maybe because I'm a girl and they're guys, I don't know, but they tend to warm up faster than women.
Absolutely. Yeah, girls with calling men, because men are, remember, by nature, men are designed to protect women. We are the ones who are like the alphas. So when we have a woman calling us, we're not going to be as rude or mean to a woman that we're biologically designed to protect. But if it's another guy that's calling, you got to warm up to that guy really quick, because men, they don't really warm up to men that quickly unless you treat them like your bro. And with women, remember, women are nurturers. Women want to nurture because it's in their nature to nurture. So if you be kind to a woman and you warm up to a woman and you make her feel like you're a friend, she will nurture you because it's in her nature. I mean, obviously there's exceptions to all of those rules, but just the majority of people will react that way. So keep in mind, like, women are kind by nature. They want to take care of people because that's how they are. So the more kind and sincere and respectful you can be to women, if they feel like you're worth allowing in their circle, they will nurture you. So keep that in mind. Am I wrong, guys, when I say that? Like, I'm not a woman, but I've noticed that from just like looking at my daughters, looking at women in general. Women are nurturers. Am I wrong by saying that women will warm up to you if they feel that you care?
No, you're not wrong at all. In fact, if you warm up the right way, the role will actually flip. I'm more prone to asking, how can I help you?
Mhm.
Once I know that we are on an even level and I feel your genuine concern.
Yeah, absolutely.
Funny that you said the same level, because for some women, and I have noticed this too in the phone calls, not just in the phone calls, but in general, when a woman approaches another woman, it's like, it's not like a girly girl conversation. It's just like, what do you want? I don't know, because women are very competitive against each other instead of being nurturers to each other. So once you get to the same level and you warm up and, hey, I'm a mom too, or I like plants too, or whatever, when I go to their house, I start looking at their garden, I'm like, oh, I plant tomatoes and blah blah, just like you. But yeah, you get to that same level, and then, as you say, the roles flip. But before that, it's like a very frigid, weird conversation.
Yeah,
It's almost like a cat fight.
it's almost like a
Yes.
cat fight. Yeah, women. I mean, listen, women are very. How would I say, in a way where it doesn't sound wrong, but women are very suspicious of other women's intentions initially, because I feel like it's very easy to say, like, what does this woman want from me? What does she want from my life? Like, it is always kind of like, are you putting a guard up because maybe you feel like there is something that that's up in the air here that I don't know about. But like you ladies said, as soon as they feel like you care, like you're really genuinely there for a reason that benefits them, I do feel like women can respect each other. But it's tough. I mean, I've heard, I don't know, obviously, but I've heard from a lot of women, it's really hard for women to have friends. And genuine friends at that, because of obviously their suspicious nature of each other. I'm not sure how that would work, but a very difficult thing, I'm sure, for women to warm up to women. For guys to warm up to guys, I feel like it's easier than it is for women to women. But just keep in mind what element you're up against when you're making calls, because no matter whether you're a man or a woman and you're making calls, you're always going to have a disadvantage here or there. But just know, obviously, how to deal with each personality trait and each gender. It'll help you big time. Also, the story you tell yourself. I used to tell myself that white people would not warm up to me, that American people would not warm up to me because I'm Hispanic and I don't look like them. But I used to tell myself that story, but you'd be very taken back by the amount of American people, amount of Caucasian, blue-eyed, blonde hair people who have literally let me in their home and trusted me with the largest asset they've ever had in life. I even, one of my proudest days was the day that Diego, one of our agents, he's Colombian and he's got a pretty rough accent, you know, especially on the phone. He walks into the office one day after prospecting. He walks into the office one day with a Caucasian lady who literally signed everything he wanted her to sign for a listing that day on the spot. When he finished that meeting, I said, how do you feel right now? He said, I feel good. Why? I'm like, do you realize that you just got a listing from someone that you thought you'd probably never get a listing from? A Caucasian lady who you probably told yourself a million times would never give you the time of day. He said, you know what, man, you're right. I'm like, bro, I am so proud of you. Like, you literally have torn down all your mental barriers, because it took me a while to believe that. But once I saw it was possible, it's kind of like running the 4-minute mile. You do it once, easy after that. You know, anyone could do it after that. But I'm here to tell you that no matter what you tell yourself, what story you're telling yourself about what's going to happen on the other end, it's not true. It may be true 1 out of 100 times, but it's not going to be true 100 out of 100 times. No matter if you're prospecting for listings, for buyers, for agents, the story is never what you tell yourself. You know, maybe you want to bring on a top producing agent onto your team, but you're like, oh no, this guy sells 100 houses a year. He'll never talk to me. You never know. As busy as they may be, that might be some of the nicest people. I'm in conversations right now with a guy who has 400 or 500 agents in his company. And every time I text him, he always texts me back. Every time I say something on his social media post, he always thanks me. Every time I post something, he always likes my stuff. Like, you would tell yourself that this guy, I'll never even ask him because I know what he's going to say. No. I mean, he hasn't agreed to come on to EXP yet, but at least he's open to the conversation, which I've had with him twice already. And I've had agents, single agents, who have just gotten into the business this year, who literally treat me like I'm trying to sell them a bag of like poison. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. You guys all know that. So it's the story we tell ourselves that is going to be one of the things that stops us from even picking up the phone. And once we can get out of our own heads, because we constantly live there, even people like John and myself, I'm sure there's times when we're like, you know what, just don't feel like it today, because, you know, these people have been really freaking rude lately. And, you know, the last time I made a call to this kind of person who has $1 million house, they were extremely rude. Look, I've been to $5 million homes and the people didn't let us in the door. I've been there. I'm not saying it's always going to be that way, but I've been there. And then I've also been to situations where I've had multi-million-dollar homes as well. The person basically treated us like we're a family. I've had both. I've had agents who are African-American, who first year in the business have $5 million listings. And I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what to say. And, you know, and it wasn't like the house was owned by another African-American. It wasn't. And it just goes to show you that nothing that we tell ourselves is true, and it's all true at the same time. Does that make sense? Because if we believe it's true, it's true. But if we can tell ourselves that, you know what, that's just my negativity getting to me, and that's just my BS, which we're all, you know, we all have it, you know, and no one here can say they don't have some kind of negativity and negative thoughts at times, because I feel like giving up a lot sometimes, you know, and maybe I just need to sleep it off, you know, at times. We all get there, but it's not, at the end of the day, it's not true. We just need to go for a walk. We just need to meditate or pray or sleep or whatever it is, go for some exercise, and then we'll feel better. But it all starts with that negativity that we got to flush out before we pick up the phone. And then once we do that, things get much easier. But it's not the only piece of the formula. Between the negativity, between the lack of practice that we at times do for, you know, role play or whatever it is that we need, and also for the lack of accountability. So remember, guys, I told you, get a partner, get a buddy, get a group, practice, make the calls, make it fun, and get the negativity out of your head. The rest is history. All those limiting beliefs are just BS. No one really believes it, because if it was true, Oprah Winfrey wouldn't be a billionaire. If it was true, we wouldn't have Elon Musk, who is not even an American and has one of the richest people in the world, and is one of the most influential people in the world. Like, it's crazy. Like, you just can't tell yourself that there's things you can't do. I mean, if you do, it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'm probably preaching to the choir because a lot of you are doing great things. A lot of you are doing excellent. But I just wanted to let you know that's one of the pieces that we're all missing from the puzzle, is the fact that sometimes we do give ourselves those negative seeds of doubt in our head. And we'll wrap up the last 10 minutes with a little dialogue on real estate agents, because I know we brought that up, and it's important to all of us because, you know, we didn't join EXP to only sell homes. You know, we know that. One of the biggest income opportunities in EXP or in general is being able to attract other people to the company. And that's going to work differently for everyone. You know, everyone's going to have a different approach. I've always told people that I heard a podcast once that will always stick in my head from an EXP agent who said, I'm going to tell you the $1 million question. The $1 million question will literally make you $1 million. And that question is, have you ever heard of EXP? And I know Belinda has tattooed that in her head because she's told me plenty of times that she's asked agents that. And the answer is either one of the two. Yes, I have, or no, I haven't. If you can remember, have you ever heard of EXP? The rest is history, guys. The rest is easy. Who can remember that? Can anyone here not remember that? Have you ever heard of EXP? So let's role play that for a second. Let's see if I can have someone here who usually doesn't participate help me out here. Tanya, you know what? You've been missing a couple of calls. I want to bring you into the loop. Remember when I was trying to convince you to come on to EXP? It was like many, many months ago. Maybe a year ago almost.
Yes.
You remember, right?
Yes.
So I think Tanya had reached out to me for a listing or something along those lines, or maybe I reached out to you. I think I reached out to you
Yeah,
because
you reached out to me.
yeah, I reached out to you because I think at that time EXP was offering like a free 30-day pass to the world, and I reached out to her, and she had no interest being with EXP. She had no intentions of moving, you know, from company to company, but I reached out to her and I literally just asked her, asked her about herself and asked her if she knew anything about EXP Realty. But if I didn't know Tanya, if I didn't have her, on my database to reach out to, and I just saw her at an open house or I saw her on the street, the conversation would easily go just like this. All right. So Tanya, just play along with me.
Okay.
Hey, Tanya, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good, good. How you liking this open house so far?
It seems like it's going pretty well.
Cool, cool. What company are you with?
ERA.
ERA. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm actually with EXP Realty. Have you ever heard of our company?
No.
No. Oh my God. Are you serious? Well, can I just give you a quick summary? Because I literally never heard of this company either a couple years ago. And we actually made a big switch, but you'd be surprised why we made that switch. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, listen, first of all, the real estate commission that we are receiving now is literally the highest in the entire industry. And I know that's one of the biggest, turn-ons for most agents is, they want to work for a company that's fairly compensating them. And also number two is the fact that the company gives us ownership of the company by stock distributions, which is the only company in the world that we found that's ever done that. And on top of that, they also give us residual income for any agents that come on board, which has literally changed the lives of countless agents in the company. I'm one of them. And my sole mission right now in my business is to help educate other agents about, what we're doing over here. Does that sound like something that could possibly interest you?
Possibly. How did they do that?
All right. So, well, let me explain to you for a second. Let's go ahead and take a seat. I have my laptop right here. I just want to show you because it's more of a visual thing than it is an audible thing, right? Because obviously I can throw a lot of things at you, but you literally have to see these numbers. Okay. So now that's where I take the conversation. I take it from an audible conversation to a visual. Do you guys understand why?
The video explains it really well.
Yeah, the video explains it well, but it's not a personal touch. But when you have something you can show, because I wouldn't say, okay, let's sit here and watch the video. We could do that and watch the video together. That's fine if you're new and you don't really have a good grasp of what the company offers. Go ahead and watch the 9-minute video with them. That's fine. Do that, right? Perfect. But if you've already kind of figured out what the company offers, you can literally sit down with them and just go through a slide deck with them and say, look, okay, well, first of all, this is the compensation structure for real estate agents, and explain to them but don't dwell on it too long. Like, for instance, the compensation part, don't go over the compensation part for half an hour. Go over the compensation part for 30 seconds and ask them, what do you think about that? And they might be like, wow, 80-20 split, $16,000 cap. And then, do you like that? Yeah, you know what? That's very intriguing. But would you mind me asking, is that more than what you're getting now? Absolutely. You got them at that moment. You got their attention because it's more money than they're currently making. And then you ask them, does your agency offer you the stock awards? Is that something your company offers? No, it's not. Actually, it's something that I'm very intrigued in. You go over the slide deck that shows how they can earn stock 6 different ways. Bang, you're done there. And then you go over the last slide would be, for me, at least I would say the last slide could probably be the slide about the residual income from the agent attraction. And you ask them, does your agency compensate you whenever you bring an agent on board? Have you ever brought an agent on board? Oh, you have. Oh, how much have they given you? Nothing? Okay. Well, it's a little different here. We actually compensate you for life. As long as that agent stays on board, whenever they close a deal, you make money. So does that sound like something that you kind of think is the way that real estate's headed? You know what? That's you know what? Now that you mention it, I think someone that I know switched to eXp Realty. Well, you know what? It's not just that person. It's literally the fastest growing real estate company of all time. So, then we must be doing something right if that many agents are joining. So, I'd love for you to kind of jump on a quick call with me and my sponsor for a quick 10 minutes. And then you can kind of give you more of an insight from a person who's been with the company a little longer, because I've only been with the company for about a year. Do you have a moment for that right now? And then basically you just make a quick call. You call myself, you call Micah, you call Alejandro, you call anyone. It doesn't matter. Call your mom. It doesn't matter who you call. As long as it's from a third person validator, it kind of seals the deal. Because, whenever you're trying to talk to someone about something, they may be excited, but they also think, why are you doing this? Like, why are you educating me on this? Like, what is in it for you? Obviously, they might have a little guard up. But when you kind of throw a person who's like a third party, who's not really supposedly in their eyes is an interested party at that moment, they give you a third party's perspective. Obviously the person will also edify you, because obviously that's what someone does on a three-way call. Be like, you know what? Thank you so much, Tanya, or whatever, whoever the agent was. If the sponsor or just the other person who jumps on a call, first they'd be like, you know what? Thank you so much, Tanya, for calling me. I appreciate, obviously you are reaching out to me whenever you have someone who might be interested in the opportunity. And then let's say the person's name is Jim. You know what, Jim, let me just start off by telling you that the person you're talking to right now, Tanya, she's an amazing, amazing agent. You could be talking to someone better. She's literally transformed her life in the few months that she's been with us. Obviously give her a quick little edification. And then, but let me go on and tell you that, you will not be making a mistake looking into the eXp Realty model. The greatest thing about the whole thing is that there is no commitment. If you don't like our company, if we don't deliver on what we promise you, you can literally take your business and go elsewhere. Not only that, but I'm sure your company that you're with now would love to have you back and even give you a higher compensation than you have now, just to make an example out of you so no one else leaves their company to eXp Realty. Does that make sense to you? It does? Oh, great. Well, you know what? Sounds like you're ready to take the next step. Why don't you do this? In order to even consider eXp Realty, you have to know if eXp Realty will have you. eXp Realty has a short application which you can fill out, and you can also find out what the independent contract agreement really looks like. You can go ahead and fill out the application. You'll review that. And if you ever in the future decide that you want to make the move, at least you'll have the approval from eXp Realty already sitting there. And if that's the case, you can exercise it at any time. But if you decide that it's not for you after you read the ICA, then no harm, no foul. You go ahead and continue doing business as usual. And, we'll be here if you ever need us. So how does that sound, Tanya? Does that sound like something you think you can have? Is that a conversation you think you can have with someone? And remember, guys, that whole conversation, that whole series of events all started with, have you ever heard of eXp Realty?
Yes, Louis, I do have to say, when you were recruiting me, you were very good at checking off all the boxes for me and follow up.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen from one day to the next, guys. A lot of people will be interested initially and excited initially, but then the stages go through their head, and the second stage is then they leave and they're like, they feel like doubt. They're like, no, that was, you know what? That's change is scary, guys. You know, people will tell themselves anything to not have to change because it's scary. Some people are just wired that way. So it's your responsibility to make sure they don't get too far out of that mindset. If you let them go way too long, they're going to go back in their ways. They're going to have a new listing that's going to come up like, I don't want to leave because my listing is going to get, you know, I'm going to lose my listing. Or maybe it'll have a party at the office and everything feels like camaraderie. And then you're like, you know what? I love my office mates here and I'm going to stay because everyone here is a family. But it doesn't matter if everyone at your office is a family, because at the end of the day, everyone has to do what's best for themselves and what's best for their families, real families, not their office families. And when that agent ends up realizing that, the opportunity is at a later stage, which is, you know, guys, when it comes to opportunities, the earlier you get in, the better. So with that being said, guys, that's pretty much it for today. The dialogue obviously is what you make it. Just practice it. There is no right or wrong. There is ways to fine tune it, like we spoke about today. But with that being said, obviously, you know, you're all going to have different approaches. So does anyone else want to add anything before we close out?
Nope. I don't want to add anything. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't have anything else to add when we were talking about how do you approach the owner in an open house.
When
'Cause
you
you kind
approach
of
the
veered
owner
off.
at an open house, the only thing I would add to that would be the last one there. So what time is your open house? 1 to 4? I'd show up at 3:59. Just to make sure everyone's cleared out that damn house, and you know, and they're already kind of like to shut things down. You show up and you're like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I got caught up in a listing appointment I just took down the street. You know, kind of make yourself seem really, really good. And you show up and you say, hey, listen, is it okay if I still take a look at the house? Absolutely. Now you got the owner all to yourself. You get really personal with them, very, you know, very, very deep conversation with them, hopefully. And then before you leave, you ask them, listen, any offers today? No? Well, listen, I have actually, you know, now that you mention it, you know, I just thought of something. Why don't we do this, right? Tell them, why don't we do this? Kind of like lead the way. I actually have a new program in my office that allows me to kind of give you the opportunity to continue trying to sell the home yourself. But at the same time, I can market it for you on the MLS, would obviously would attract more of a wider base for people to come and take a look at your home. Is that something you think you'd consider? With obviously no obligation to me. If you sell it on your own, you owe me no commission. So it's a win-win. What? Actually sounds kind of interesting. And then obviously that's how you build the rapport, and you say, well, it's called a exclusive listing. You know, it means you can sell the home yourself, owe me nothing. It also gives me the opportunity to sell it to my client base. We work together on this. And if you don't like it, I'll give you an unconditional release. Sound good? Yeah, sounds great. Perfect. Let's do it. So, I mean, that's a good approach you can take. Obviously, some people don't like doing that. You know, obviously, you can give them the pros and cons to both. You can say, look, once they are ready to sign paperwork, you tell them, look, the exclusive listing says that, you know, we will work on your behalf. We'll list the property. But obviously, I cannot spend my full amount of budget that I would on a normal listing because there isn't really any, how would I say? There's no promise that I'll ever make any commission on this. So my marketing budget on this is limited. But if you choose to change this to exclusive right to sell, which allows me to sell your home exclusively through our office, then at that point, I can pretty much go with the full max amount of marketing that we do. But that's something that you and your wife have to decide, or that's something you and your husband have to decide. You know what, you know, that kind of sounds better. Let's do that instead, you know? So you give them those options once you have them already. Okay. But you don't want to come on too strong because people will be like, no, I can do it myself. You know, that's kind of what
Yeah.
right. Make sense, guys?
Yes.
Good. All right. So let's go ahead and close out with our prayer. And obviously thank God for giving us the opportunity to be here today. Father, we thank you so much, Father, for giving us the opportunity once again, Father, to be here together and have this moment with each other, to be able to learn from each other's experiences, to take away, Father, the knowledge that you have at our disposal. Father, the only thing we ask you is to now allow us to walk away from this experience and actually put these things to practice so we can better our lives and better the lives of our family and those around us. Father, we also ask you to bless our homes, bless our health, and allow us to go out there and lead as examples, Father, and just become better people and better mentors and better stewards of our money. Father, we also ask you to forgive us for anything that we have done that is not in your ways. And we ask you to always help us become better disciples as well. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Good.
Amen.
Thank you,
Thank
Lord.
Amen.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, guys.